Hello and welcome to One Storyteller, where we are continuing our walk through Fellowship of the Ring. Here we are picking up in the middle of Chapter 9. We're adventurous like that. My name's Reagan.
I'm Andrew.
And there we go. So last time we did the Barrow Downs, and then, that ended up running longer than I thought it would. So we cut it off in the middle of Chapter 9. Frodo and friends have made it up to the gate and through the through the gate of Breetown. Side note, I do think it's really funny in the movie when they have a Hobbit peephole and a human peephole in the gate.
Which I buy. I think
which makes
cool.
absolute sense. It's great. I just thought it deserved a mention. So throwing that in there as well. So Frodo has made it up until the end of the Prancing Pony, which is, the namesake of the chapter. So I figure that's a good place for us to get started.
Sure.
They go inside the inn, and what are your overall impressions of chapters 9 and 10, both dealing with the internal workings of this inn and the characters thereof?
Both these chapters are almost exclusively inside this building.
Yes.
It's interesting.
Yes.
Which is a much narrower scope.
Mm-hmm. Back to the chapter 2 kind of feeling.
Yes.
Much more so. It's one conversation.
It does
really
feel like when you're inside, it's talking kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And when you're outside, it's not.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
It's cool. It makes the writing style unique, and I like that.
Yeah. My overall impressions here.
Yes.
I think we really start getting like a lot of more particular characterization of Frodo in particular.
Okay.
And that's really interesting. It's not predominantly, this is not the best way to phrase it. It's not predominantly positive things for Frodo.
No. No, he's a little bit dumb here.
Yes, he had this triumph against the White in the previous chapter, but here he's having to learn really quickly because he's making a lot of mistakes in a short period of time.
Yes.
And he's even stubborn to be corrected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's like, and he's got so many correct elements of what he's doing, but he's doing them all half a step too late is the thing.
Or in the wrong context.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's a really insightful way to phrase it.
Yeah.
Because
I thought so. I cut you off.
And it's very human.
Yeah.
Seeing Frodo struggling like this.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of uncomfortable seeing how Frodo's struggling in these chapters.
Well, he is way out of his element, right? He's dealing with people that even Frodo, who grew up in Buckland and who went into the Old Forest as a child, he did not go to Bree, from my understanding. This is the first time he's encountering something, this and the Barrow Downs, presumably. He's encountering something that is actually new to him, or at least he doesn't even have a familiarity with it, not even a passing familiarity.
Yeah, none of them in their little group do.
Yeah, and so there's a learning curve, and this is the bit where it does not go so smoothly for him at first. It does help to show you to emphasize the point that he needs help, which is good because he gets help from someone who's actually lived in this kind of environment for a while, but that's more a chapter 10 thing, and so we'll deal with that as we get towards the end of our reading here. So they get in the inn. Frodo introduces them all to the barkeep, Butterbur. He introduces them as Mr. Took, Mr. Brandybuck, Mr. Underhill, and Sam Gamgee, which is funny.
Well, yeah.
A little sad, but yeah.
But the other ones are like important hobbits, and Sam's just a gardener, so he's not a mister.
Yeah. It's just striking that
it is.
I hope that will evolve over time. I think that will evolve over time, but it just seems a little bit, disrespectful to Sam.
Well,
I know it's like proper. It's more proper, but like, I don't know. It just seems mean.
Yeah, it's in modern day. It does seem completely out of pocket or not right. Yeah, and there'd be a huge debate to talk about that, but it fits.
It absolutely fits the world.
Yeah, it fits the way people did things back then.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. So the hobbits are given their own hobbit room which we mentioned it last time. They're also
Yes.
given their own separate parlor,
Mhm.
separate and apart even from other people. They get to have their own dinner. They don't
Mhm.
have to interact with anybody else. This is a safe space that's
Yes.
set for them and for them only, and nobody else is allowed to come in, as we'll learn later on. Butterbur actively stops people from coming in to say hello to them. This is the place where it would be appropriate for them to eat a full meal and sleep. But they tried to do it on the road, and then when they have the opportunity to stay safe,
I like it.
they don't. Well, I don't like it. It's terrible.
Oh no, it's
Yeah.
terrible.
But it demonstrates, right, their incompetency.
Yes.
They get to something that feels cozy, and suddenly they start trusting everybody, which
Yes.
is a stupid
We've
idea.
seen this before.
Yeah, it's almost like these characters are consistent, and you've experienced this kind of stuff. Basically, Frodo, Sam, and Pippin go out to join the other people, and Merry doesn't. Merry says, I'm going to go outside because he's the competent one, and actually he's the one who gathers relevant information.
Yeah. I think it does show his competence, but also it's just a more mundane characterization as well.
Yeah.
Not mundane.
Yeah.
But like a personality characterization as well.
Mm-hmm.
Pippin's definitely outgoing.
Yeah.
Sam is
Way
too
too.
in his way.
Yeah.
And Frodo. Well, I don't know about Frodo, but Merry, he's not as extroverted.
No.
So I think it's pointing to that.
Yeah. Frodo is willing to entertain guests if they're there, but it's not his first
So maybe
choice.
there's some increased competence on Merry's part, but I don't think he realizes how big a mistake it is they're leaving. He's just like, whatever, be careful.
Yeah.
I don't feel like doing that.
Yeah, and Pippin says it's safer indoors, which is kind of
You know,
true.
it's funny that Pippin is always sort of right. He's like, these shortcuts aren't shortcuts.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's
but
right
every
in all
time
the
they-
wrong ways.
Yeah. If they hadn't taken the shortcuts, they would die.
Yeah.
It would be a lot safer indoors, but
But because of stuff Pippin does, it's not safer indoors.
yes,
And
yeah,
that ends
it's-
up bringing the problem.
Man, I really love this chapter just because of the more characterization. Like I feel like mostly we get it for Frodo, but it's not just for Frodo.
Yeah. Yeah. So so Merry stays out. We'll catch up with him eventually.
Yeah.
Frodo, Sam, and Pippin go in there. Frodo knows enough not to talk about himself. Sam is talking, but doesn't seem to be talking about anything important.
He finds people who are hobbits and who can talk about stuff going on in the Shire, and he has a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, but he doesn't spill the beans on anything that is, important. Whereas Pippin just decides it's a great idea to tell all about Chapter 1 and all about Bilbo disappearing.
Which is crazy.
he's kind of stupid. Maybe a little drunk. He likes the beer a
probably
little too much,
bit,
but that's a dumb thing. And so that's the inciting incident in the chapter, and Frodo is kind of witnessing that. He's at the back of the room.
He's at this point, or when when that's brought to his attention, he's there with the Ranger Strider.
Yeah. So there's this guy. Talk about Strider. What about?
Okay.
Do you like him? Do you not like him? What do you think Tolkien was trying to make us feel about him?
Okay. So I have to take a step back for a second.
Okay.
There's two people who introduce us to humans from the Hobbit perspective.
Yeah.
You got Barleyman and Strider, and you really couldn't have two more different people.
Interesting.
Barleyman is running around like his pants are on fire. I think that's probably the best description for him.
He's busy.
He's very busy.
Yeah.
And he's able to run what's going on, and he's a leader. He's respected, and we can see why he is. He's smart. He's able to calm people down.
Yeah.
But he's also willing to get his hands dirty. He owns the inn, but he's running around taking orders and delivering food, even though there's other workers.
Yeah.
Even though it's a really big inn, and he's not a poor guy. So that's interesting. I don't know if that's just normal or if Tolkien's showing that he likes to be busy or something.
He is highly competent within the city.
Yes. Where he's competent, where he's competent.
Yes.
Exactly. But he does seem a little bumbling and silly.
Mm-hmm.
And that is definitely Frodo's perspective of him by the end of things.
Yeah.
Strider is not that at all.
No.
And so I'll be honest, sometimes I don't think it's quite as bad as I think it is.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like, sometimes I just roll my eyes at the way Tolkien writes Gandalf and Strider, honestly.
Interesting.
Because
a criticism?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes. So,
Spicy.
like in chapter 2, Frodo says, "Do you know anything about this?" Gandalf says stuff like this. "I know lots of things, but if you're talking about this, I have lots of guesses." Which, like, if I was in a conversation and someone responded to me like that,
it's just like, yeah.
I would be
wanna listen to
dumbfounded
that.
and frustrated.
Yeah.
And
the nerve.
And like, I don't know. Like, Tolkien knows the impressions his characters are giving.
Yeah.
Like, he definitely does.
Yeah.
Because Frodo responds the way I would if I was talking to somebody like Strider. Frodo is just completely exasperated.
Yeah.
But it just makes me think, like, what was Strider going for exactly? Because he's trying to help Frodo, but he really is sort of teasing Frodo, or it's either Strider is teasing Frodo or he's sort of clueless about what he's doing. And I don't think he's clueless.
He's not clueless. Well, there is a line in chapter 10 about how he's testing Frodo.
Yes.
To see.
And I think that's the best way to explain it.
Yes.
But it leaves some things to be desired.
Yeah.
From my reading perspective.
Fair enough.
It probably does explain it well enough. Yeah. But
retroactively.
Yeah.
It doesn't really help.
I feel a lot like Frodo.
Yeah.
Much to my chagrin when being introduced to Strider.
Which may
initially.
be the point. Or at least part of the point.
It may be. Yeah.
Interesting. He's a cool guy. Frodo seems awfully comfortable to just go up and talk to him.
Yes.
Which I find a little strange.
I think he feels like he's kind of forced to.
Yes.
He has to play this game.
Yes. Yeah. Although there is a line about how basically every time they're in the open room at the bar or at the inn, every time they're there, they have thrown caution to the wind. Yes. Like them just being there is not very cautious. And so it does make sense that Frodo would just go ahead and engage this conversation. He only starts asking questions later, and Strider says, "Oh, finally, you've learned to be cautious." Well, that's good. I've been looking for that the whole time. Yeah. So maybe that helps explain that a little bit.
I think when we move properly into Chapter 10, we'll be able to explore that some more.
Yeah. Basically what happens in Chapter 9 is Pippin is telling all about the Bagginses.
Ridiculous.
That's a stupid thing to do. And so Frodo makes a scene by going and singing a silly song, fittingly written by a Bagginses. And then as he's singing the song, he accidentally uses the ring. He feels an urge to use the ring due to some kind of outside force, which is very odd.
This is the first time it's been phrased that way.
Yes. There was like a draw from the outside to put it on. Yeah. He doesn't for a while until he accidentally falls off a table.
Yeah. It's interesting that how skeptical Strider is that was an accident.
Yeah.
But I think the narrative is like pretty clear that it was an accident.
Yeah. Well, it was an accident, but it also says Frodo thought he was probably like fingering the ring and thinking about putting it on. Right. It was his discomfort at the situation which put him in a position to then go ahead and put it on, which ends up being very bad for him. Mm-hmm. So it was accident, but it's not as accidental as it should have been. Yes. I think maybe that's the point.
It's really interesting. Maybe we're losing something by dissecting it too much. I'm gonna try not to. Yeah. I think maybe it will be useful. As Strider says, "Look, your idiot friend Pippin is about to just give away everything."
Yeah.
And maybe that's an overreaction from Frodo. Because he says he was afraid suddenly in a fit of panic that in his present mood, Pippin would just tell about the ring and Bilbo disappearing. Which, to be fair, Pippin isn't exactly inspiring confidence. So I think we have to believe Frodo there.
Yeah. But
then he doesn't do some well thought out thing. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't have a lot of time. He has some time. And instead he just jumps up on a table and gets everyone's attention. which is pretty impulsive. Um, but
And at that point, you could have just said, you know, thanks for having us. We're glad to be here.
yeah,
And then, like, the distraction, it works, right?
It
Pippin's
does.
crowd is gone.
but it's to your point.
But-
It does put him in a situation where, like, if he hadn't jumped up on the table and started singing,
Mhm.
then he wouldn't have disappeared and drawn even more attention than
Yeah.
anything Pippin would have said.
Yeah.
And that's what Strider says. He's like, that is worse than anything else that could have happened, that you disappeared.
Yeah.
And it's
So
just
basically-
interesting because it's not like Tolkien's trying to show is like clearly like 100% Frodo's fault.
No.
Like there's a lot of different factors, and an accident is the best word for what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But Frodo's still culpable to some degree.
Yeah.
Frodo still should have been more thoughtful
It's
and more
almost like-
responsible.
If they had just stayed in their room,
Exactly.
you wouldn't have had this problem.
And that's the main takeaway I had reflecting on this section was you can't control these different accidents or whatever. You can't
Yep.
control if you jump up in the air if the ring will fall on your finger because it's malicious and it's trying to take advantage of things like that.
Yeah.
You can't control that, but you could have stayed in your room. That was
Mhm.
in your control.
Absolutely.
And so everything that goes wrong stems from that.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly right.
God will give you the ability to resist whatever temptation comes your way.
But if you throw yourself in the midst
When
of
you,
it,
when you go out in the public room and then you get your friends drunk and they start talking about you, suddenly you don't have the ability to resist anymore because you gave that up when
Mhm.
you left the room and the safety of the room. It would have been in this case, oddly, would have been safer for them to stay in the Hobbit room than for them to go out and get involved in the world,
Mhm.
which up until this point we've seen a lot about
that's a
rejecting
good point.
the Hobbit room
Yeah.
and going out into the world. But in this case, they're already like out in the world enough. They need to take some time to themselves, and they just don't.
Yeah.
So
Well-
he learns like the wrong lessons from it, and it's
And that's sort of a
Unfortunate,
good summary
relatable.
for these two chapters is
Mhm.
learning the wrong lessons or
Yeah.
learning the right lessons too late or
Yeah.
something like that. I will say to your point about the Hobbit rooms, this may border on being pedantic again, but I don't think this point is they're Hobbit rooms exactly.
Mhm.
No, I see what you're saying,
Yeah.
and it is worth
they're
thinking
familiar, but
about. The point is to be careful, you
Yeah.
know. So, private area opposed to common area.
yeah,
And if you're going to be using a fake name and trying to sneak away in a place you don't know, maybe you stay in the private area instead of
Yeah.
the public area. Because later, we're going to find out they would have died.
Yeah.
If they stayed in the Hobbit room. Though, maybe that's because they left in the first place.
I think that's more what that is. But
Okay, no.
yeah.
As I'm saying that, okay.
Yeah. It would have been smarter when the barkeep tells you, "Hey, you can come out to the common area and I will introduce you to everyone." If you are trying to be quiet about the fact that you exist, don't go out where you're going to be introduced to every single person in the
Yeah.
room. Because that's what happens,
Mhm.
right? They go out and he gives their names to everybody.
And
he
there's some
gives-
harmless people like the mugworts and other
Absolutely.
hobbits and these dwarves.
Yeah.
No names for the dwarves. They're just some dwarves.
They're just there.
But there's also this
Sitting there.
Fernie fellow
Mhm.
and this couple evil-faced people from the south.
Mm-hmm.
That's not very good.
That's not going to age well, right? That's going to turn out very poorly in the end of chapter 10, but especially the consequences in chapter 11.
Yeah.
So anything else about like the main room? Frodo sets up meetings with both Strider and Butterbur
Yes.
and wants to go to bed at some point, but like they're keeping him up. And it is a good thing that they keep him up, because if he goes to bed at this point and sleeps, that would be very, very bad for him. So,
yes.
it is good.
I don't think I have anything else here.
Cool. Then,
Except that,
Oh.
ironically, when Frodo does disappear,
Mhm.
the people in the Prancing Pony react just about as negative, well, maybe even a little more negatively than the people at Bilbo's birthday party.
Yeah.
It's just,
Oh, it's way more negatively.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, that's,
They refuse to say
already,
goodnight.
Frodo had already seen what it's like,
Mhm.
the kind of impression the ring makes on people.
Yeah. In Hobbiton, it was like, wow, that was weird. I need more food.
Mhm.
In Bree, it's like, that was weird. I'm not going to bid you good night, and the party's done. Like, we're just all leaving. And then it's Frodo all by himself, which is what makes Butterbur think of what he's supposed to, I think, because he was talking about how when he gets a moment of peace, he'll remember whatever it was.
Yeah.
And
it's to Strider's point, like Pippin mentioning Baggins might have drawn people's attention, but Frodo definitely did, because that is what reminds Butterbur, I have a letter for Baggins.
Yeah. I've seen that kind of thing, or I've heard about that kind of thing before. Because he does say that the story of Bilbo was not uncommon. It's just nobody had really thought about it recently.
So we move into chapter 10.
Yes, we do. Basically, Strider comes in, and
it's kind of the fallout of all the things we just were reading about.
Yes, you have Strider, you have Barlaman, you have Gandalf.
By proxy,
by extension,
by paper proxy.
And then you have like a conversation that Frodo has at the end. And also Merry shows up, but that's at the very end. So those are your sections for this chapter. Frodo, Sam, and Pippin go back to their room. Merry's not there. And they get in the room, they light the fire, and then they turn around and Strider's there.
Yes.
Which is interesting and mildly terrifying.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Strider is very cool. That's all I'm going to say about that.
He was sort of forced in a position where he had to sneak up on him, I think. But it is kind of ominous.
Well, they're not going to invite him.
No.
Probably.
Let's take matters into his own hands.
Yeah. Yeah, and so we get to see his threat, because his threat level is absolutely incredible. He can sneak in the room, and they don't even know he can. He calls Frodo Baggins in the last chapter. After Frodo puts on the ring, he says Baggins, and he says, "You put your foot in it, or should I say your finger?" Like, he knows what this stuff is.
Yeah.
And so both his knowledge and his competency makes him either a great adversary or a great friend.
Exactly.
And you don't know which is very biblical.
And okay,
shall we say?
Sliding back into the Prancing Pony chapter for just a second.
Yep.
Is during that interaction you just referenced, Frodo is described as being annoyed and alarmed.
Yes.
And you'd think it'd be more appropriate just to be alarmed, but he's annoyed.
Yeah.
Which seems very childish. It's like, I made a big mistake just revealing everything. And he's already like, he doesn't even know Strider that well, but he's annoyed that he's right.
Yeah.
Which it is childish.
Yeah. Well, when other people show some kind of affinity for understanding the ring, Frodo is not happy about it. You saw it with Tom as
that's
well.
A good point.
And
Great
so
point.
I wonder if that's what that is like,
that's got to be part of it. Yeah.
You shouldn't know about this. Like, this is my thing.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's part of it. And I'm not exactly sure what that
like
means.
Stepping on the toes of his competency as well.
Yeah. So back in chapter 10, because we're definitely in chapter 10 now. Basically, Strider says, "Take me with you," right? I can help you out if you take me with you.
I can help you, but my price is take me with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is back to what you said. Like, he's not the most helpful. He could be, although these are also dumb hobbits, and he does admit that he is testing them. And so I wonder if that's also the test. Like, will you just take this random guy with you just because he knows who you are?
Yeah.
And Frodo says, I would have to know more about you, which is like, finally, good. But also, I am the only person here you can trust, and you should be trusting. So, yeah, let's go ahead and do this thing. So it's like good and bad, positives and negatives. Right. So Strider basically by showing his competency, what I was going to say earlier is Strider is either the greatest ally that they will have up until this point, or he is the greatest threat they will face up until this point. Because unlike the writers, he's actually found them.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That is a very divine attribute to have. A lot of people...
greatest enemy or greatest friend?
Yeah, right. God has the ability to cast judgment on anyone and anything he wants to, right? If you're on his good side, that's the greatest blessing you can have. If you're on his bad side, that's the greatest threat that exists, is heaven or hell, right? Is the choice. And Strider kind of embodies that there.
Interesting.
There's a balance between those two. Nothing else can save them from Strider, essentially.
And he's definitely an ally, but
yes. But they don't know
kind
it.
of caught in the dilemma of not knowing. Yeah.
Yeah. And he will only be a full ally if they're willing to actually turn and trust him instead. Yeah. He can follow them on the road,
which he probably would do.
He has followed them on the road,
but he can't force them to accept him.
Yeah. He is going to be with them to Rivendell. It's just whether they are willing to accept his help or whether he has to skulk around and follow them.
And one of those would be a lot more beneficial than the other.
Yes. Having a guide to actually take you somewhere versus having the guy who's trying to clean up your messes.
Yeah.
Right. Much rather have him on your side. So he does start to embody a lot of classically divine attributes that you would attribute to someone such as, God, which I think is interesting. And I think that's intentional.
Yeah.
Because he becomes a very pointed picture there. It's good that Frodo is cautious. Also, it doesn't really serve him a point to be cautious at this point.
Certainly not to the degree that he's being cautious.
Yeah, he's being pedantic.
You mentioned this earlier. It's a little too late.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
this would have worked better earlier on.
Yeah,
and then
when you hadn't admitted that you were Baggins, and you hadn't shown you had a ring, and you hadn't done all these things. Yeah. Strider just he says, "Take me with you," right? Which is
very forward.
That's suspect. But then he says, "Yes, I know who Tom Bombadil is.
Yeah.
Yes, I listened to your conversations. I know who you are. I know that you're going under an alias.
Business that concerns me."
Yes.
Yeah.
He understands everything about the situation. And so it is kind of silly for Frodo to say, "Well, I don't think we'll take you with us."
Yeah. It's like I am sort of exasperated, I said, with Strider's approach to things in some places.
Yeah.
But I guess talking about out loud, I'm not sure what other options were available to him.
No.
Because if he was just a softer approach, that sort of rings of manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
And that might have just really ruined any potential trust.
Yeah.
Being forward and almost teasing like this is...
It looks foul, but feels fair.
Turns out to be the right way.
Yeah.
And I think that's not unrealistic.
Yeah. Yeah. Frodo throughout this, it says he was still determined not to understand.
Yeah, still determined not to understand.
Frodo is acting dumb on purpose.
Yeah.
He knows full well the answer, and he's just kind of being a jerk about it, is my understanding of that.
Strider is alluding to, he's not coming out and saying it, but I think it's testing. He's like, can you connect the dots?
Yeah.
I think that also helps to explain some of my exasperation.
Yeah.
Because Strider is talking about how there's different spies, or he even says, Frodo, you noticed some strange people who left right after you disappeared.
Yeah.
And Frodo says, well, what does that have to do with me? No, come on.
You know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm more irritated at Frodo than I am at Strider. Yeah. I think Frodo's the one who is making the foolish decision, and then, like you said earlier, I think not willing to back down when the time has come to just be real. Strider is trying, and Frodo is just resistant.
Yeah, that's a good
point.
I
hate that.
But it's hard to admit when you're wrong.
Yes.
And so Frodo's just making it worse.
Yeah.
It sort of reminds me of some of these naive, childish responses he had to Gandalf in chapter 3 or chapter 2.
Yeah.
Chapter 3.
Yeah.
Where Gandalf is kind of in a rush and is just saying things kind of generally. Mm-hmm. And it's if Frodo misunderstands what Gandalf was saying, but if he thought about it, he wouldn't have.
Yeah.
And Gandalf is reasonably exasperated with Frodo's response to those questions.
Yeah. And that's the same moment where Frodo is just delaying because he just doesn't want to go. So, yeah. Frodo is very relatable. Yes. But I don't like how relatable it is.
Yes.
Maybe that's what irritates me. Strider offers to guide them into the wild,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty cool. Probably would be pretty useful. He says if you went by yourself, I forget exactly where this is. If you went by yourself, you would survive in the sun for 1 day and be killed in the darkness,
Mm-hmm.
which ends up being very similar to what Gandalf would say later on, such as don't travel
by
at night.
Yeah.
The sun is going to help you in a lot of instances. Not in every instance. There was sun when the Barrow Wight came, or when they went to sleep, and that put them in trouble. But with the Black Riders, like, that would be useful, but it's only so useful. And Strider's the one who can take them the rest of the way, is basically how he pitches himself.
Yeah.
Which he's right.
Yeah. There's a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I think just a page later from what we're talking about with like Frodo, and the phrase is great. You already drew attention to it. Frodo determined not to understand Strider.
Yeah.
I think it's just should probably be on the next page for you as well, since it's on the next page for me.
Yeah.
Where Frodo is stubborn and Sam is worse.
Yeah.
Sam is like really distrustful of outside forces, which we've seen already. Like, he's suspicious of the Bucklanders. He doesn't like crossing the river.
Yeah.
He's intimidated of men in general. Humans, I mean. And we can't just let this guy come on, Mr. Frodo.
Mm-hmm.
I say no. And this is like one of the first times, like, Sam's been a loyal servant.
Mm-hmm.
But now he thinks Frodo's about to make a big mistake.
Yeah.
And he speaks up. And
Which is
maybe in a way that's not exactly appropriate for a servant, exactly.
Yeah.
But,
Well, he says with your leave, so.
yeah, no, he's being respectful.
Absolutely.
But it's sort of on the border. He's being a lot more assertive than any other time we've seen him.
Yeah.
And it's to his credit, it's in his response to a perceived threat.
Mm-hmm.
And he's willing to throw down with this guy who would definitely kill him.
Yeah.
So that's to his credit, but it's misplaced.
Yeah.
I wonder if Frodo's somewhat responsible for that. Because Frodo has just been being obstinate and stubborn in the face of Aragorn, Strider, even though he knows he's right.
Yeah.
Sam doesn't know that, but I think Frodo's rubbing off on him negatively in regard to like this delaying and wavering.
Yeah.
So Sam's loyal to a fault, even to Frodo's faults.
Yes.
Right after that paragraph, Pippin is just fidgeting and looking uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Which, wow.
Which is uncharacteristic.
Yes.
For him not to say anything.
But it actually isn't.
Mm-hmm.
When he knows what's going on, or he thinks he does, he's happy to quip or whatever.
Yeah.
When he feels threatened, he throws it to other people.
Yeah.
He's the youngest in the company.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of a reaction that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, up until this point, we've usually seen Sam silent and Pippin willing to just.
Yeah. So on the surface, it looks
something.
like it's a reversal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's their characters coming into play and being
in
consistent to their individual differences.
But it's also about this time that Frodo finally starts to realize, okay, we gotta have help, and this guy is like throwing himself at us.
Yeah, I don't know that I would blame Sam so much as because Frodo has had several bits of conversation with Strider before this by himself while Sam's been distracted.
That's a good
Sam is also quite a bit more drunk than Frodo is. There's a mention of how he's enjoying the beer, and then also he's been out like socializing and drinking with that, as opposed to Frodo off in the corner with Strider.
there's a couple other factors here.
And
That's
so,
a good point.
Yeah, I don't. It's not malicious from Sam.
No,
it is good intention, but it is also like that is the wrong.
Yeah, every reaction we see here is bad.
Yes.
I think, and to be clear, I think Sam's is the least bad.
Yeah. He's trying.
Yeah, Pippin is not trying. Frodo is not trying. Sam is trying.
Yeah. Yeah. So Frodo does start asking decent questions. You know, you're changing, essentially, is what he says. You were pretending to be one way, now you're being something else.
Yes.
And I would like you to be straight with me, which is fair. At the same time, Frodo has not been straight with him. Yeah. And so it's the same Bilbo problem of, I'll give you all of these gifts that show off your inadequacies while ignoring my own. So Frodo comes by it honestly.
Yep.
But you do see that same thing. But it's clear, like, Strider at that point is just like, okay, fine. I will tell you about my story. I don't know why you would believe me, but I'll tell you my story.
Yeah.
I know you're going to Rivendell. I know who you are. I know what you have. Like, I understand everything about you. But so that you can make up your own mind, here it is. And then we never actually get it because it gets cut off.
Yeah. It's pretty funny.
It's very sad.
It's really well
Dramatic.
crafted
Yeah.
as a story that that Strider gets interrupted for this Butterbur section, which Frodo's starting to like learn the right things here.
Yeah.
But then he makes some funny mistakes when Butterbur comes in.
Yeah.
One thing that Strider says here on the same page is caution is one thing and wavering is another.
Yes.
Which
That's
really
a great
good.
line.
Because it's so true. Like it's good to be cautious and wise and prudent. But when you're uncomfortable with the choices before you, the temptation is not to choose.
Yeah.
Because you don't like what's before you. And Frodo has to choose not taking Strider or taking Strider. And both of those are uncomfortable to him.
Yeah.
But there's the right choice and wrong choice.
Yeah. And he knows what the answer is.
Yes.
Right? He knows it from his practical experience. He knows at this point Strider is coming with him whether he likes it or not. Because he's just able to. And he even says later on in the chapter, like, I already was trusting you. I wanted to trust you.
And you can see that in how Frodo opens up to him in these questions, even while he's sort of feigning.
Yes, and you can see it when Butterbur comes in the room. Strider hides in the back, and Frodo doesn't say, "Strider, get out of here." He just lets him be.
Yeah.
Right, and so
all his actions show that he trusts him.
Yes, he's just not willing to admit it.
Yes,
which is
and
like
it's probably some of his embarrassment. Starts like, you need to trust me. I'm trustworthy.
Yeah,
and Frodo's like, I don't know about that, but
yes, you do, and it's just
exactly.
Yeah, it's just he's aware. And he doesn't want to commit, and that is so frustrating.
That's
and
like
very human.
his flaw throughout this is not wanting to commit.
Yeah, not wanting to. He's willing to commit to dancing on a table and getting himself in trouble, but he's not willing to commit to the guy who clearly knows everything and could have killed you, but he hasn't, and he's trying to help you. But Frodo won't trust him, and that's the thing. He's not learning the right lessons, or he is learning them too late. Caution is good, but your wavering is something different, I think.
Yeah.
So Butterbur comes in.
Yes.
Finally. Strider's in the back of the room. Frodo's fine with it, no matter what Butterbur's about to say. Even when Butterbur starts saying stuff like Baggins, he just leaves Strider there because, Strider knows that already. Why not? Just leave him there. So Barlowman knows of Frodo through Gandalf.
Yes.
Several months ago.
Yes.
Received a letter from Gandalf.
Yeah. Or, well, rather, it's something Gandalf wrote in the Prancing Pony.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Gandalf entrusted it to him for him to send it off, which I don't know about that. That strikes me as very odd. That strikes me as very convenient for the story in two different ways.
Well, it definitely is.
Well, it doesn't make sense that Gandalf, if he knows Butterbur enough to trust him with this letter, he knows that he's absent-minded.
Yeah.
So I don't know why Gandalf would trust him with it versus just dropping off the letter himself. Right? So there is that confuses me. It's also incredibly convenient that the letter just so happens to happen right here, and it just so happens to talk about Strider and how he's legitimate right here. So I understand some of how that could work. It does seem very convenient for the sake of the plot, much more so than something that would naturally happen. But here we are.
The real world's strange sometimes.
It is.
But I understand your complaint.
Yeah.
My
it's not like immersion breaking, but it is like, okay.
Yeah, no, I understand.
This feels more story-like than it could.
Yeah. I think that Gandalf will address this later when he talks to Frodo. He's like, I just should have gone back to the Shire. Like
Yeah.
Gandalf is exasperated with himself
Mm-hmm.
because the Shire
Fair enough.
is like just a couple days ride or less than Bree. But he just heard Nazgul about here, and he decides I need to talk to Saruman.
Yeah.
Instead of going back to Frodo.
Mm-hmm.
And Gandalf will say that was a huge mistake on his part.
Well,
But-
couldn't Gandalf have picked a messenger? Or I guess Butterbur would
But-
know
but
the
he-
area better. But
He does pick a messenger, which is
yeah.
by proxy. Yeah, but this is your point. Like
yeah.
Barlaman is like one of these leading men in Bree.
Yeah.
Like he's the most or one of the most influential people,
Mm-hmm.
and he has a lot of different servants or people he can send out.
Yeah.
And the sense I get, like we see him being absent-minded,
Mm-hmm.
but it seems like as a rule, like he gets back around to things.
Eventually.
Yeah. And so
True.
it seems like it's what we're supposed to see. This is really uncharacteristic that he would forget something this long.
Mm-hmm.
And like even the way he's like repentant and apologetic gives the impression of this is something that doesn't usually happen.
Yeah. That's fair. That's a fair point.
It's rough because as far as we're concerned it is, because it's like the only thing of relevance we know about him is this big mistake.
Mm-hmm.
But retroactively, and it's sort of circular reasoning, but if Gandalf trusts him, he's probably trustworthy.
Yeah.
And so it is an uncharacteristic thing. Just like Gandalf making the mistake not to go to the Shire, Barlaman has this mistake of forgetting.
Yeah.
And he's not an adventurer. Like he can't. He's not the kind of guy.
Going to take it
he's
himself.
not going to take it himself. He has to find someone else. But he can't just make people go. Either.
That's
So-
fair. I guess that is.
It's
makes sense.
definitely convenient for the story, but I think it is realistic enough.
Okay.
As to mentioning Strider,
In the letter.
I don't have any issue with that at all.
I don't because of what we find out later. This is written oddly.
It is.
It feels like a lot of these things I will read something and have a complaint about it, and then a couple chapters later I will read something that retroactively makes what happened make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not really how many stories are written nowadays.
That's true.
Or maybe just in general, but especially not nowadays. Because like, why would he mention Strider? Well, Strider says he's been the eyes that Gandalf has had,
Yes.
right? He's been the guy. He has been patrolling the road, waiting for them
Mm-hmm.
to come down it. And so, okay, then I guess that does make sense that Gandalf would mention that Strider is looking for them, or like Strider is trustworthy.
The letter and Strider corroborate each other.
Yes, which is just, it's unconventional.
Mm-hmm. And
It's interesting.
sometimes you have to wait a couple chapters. I feel like usually
a lot of times
you
it's
have
just
to
resolving in a couple pages.
wait a couple pages more often. Yeah.
Because I have read several things where I like read a paragraph, type out a note on it, read 5 more paragraphs, delete the note that I just made because like, oh, okay, that answers this.
Yeah.
Like, what happened? Oh, well,
I think that's right.
I've already seen this before. So
Strider is
Interesting.
someone concerned with the defense of Bree and the
Mhm.
Shire and with destroying Sauron.
yeah,
So of course he's in the loop about all these things.
yeah.
Gandalf doesn't like bombard you with information
Mm-hmm.
unless it's relevant to you.
Yeah.
So before now, Strider wasn't relevant to him because
True.
Strider doesn't go into the Shire. He does stuff more around Bree.
Yeah.
Gandalf goes to the Shire, and Gandalf thought he would be back there.
Yeah.
But when he finds out he's not, he says, "There's a guy close by
Mm-hmm.
who you hopefully you meet.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what you should look out for.
Yeah.
Make sure it's the real guy."
Mm-hmm.
So he's advising caution. I do laugh when I read all the PPSs and
Yes.
PSPS, PPPS.
Yeah.
It's like, Gandalf, you had time to go back to the
Yeah.
Shire.
You could write this
But,
normally. Yeah.
No, it does save him a little time, even if it turns out to be the wrong choice.
Mm-hmm.
But he,
Well, it saved him a couple of days at the expense of Frodo's health and well-being, and also Gandalf's health and well-being, because the Saruman encounter won't go well either.
yeah,
So, like, he couldn't have known that, but
Mhm.
also, rip. That was a bad move.
I think a lot of the biggest mistakes in all the book
Mm-hmm.
or all the trilogy happen in this first part of the Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah.
I think one of Sauron's.
Interesting.
We'll talk about
That
it
would
later,
make sense.
but one of Sauron's biggest mistakes is here.
Yeah, he didn't get the white to kill him off.
Gandalf's.
Can you imagine an invisible white?
I
be
think if the
great.
white put the ring on, he'd just become a lot nastier.
Probably.
So yeah, the letter, very
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah.
Frodo is sort of warming up to Strider at this point,
Mm-hmm.
but he still feels angry at himself,
Yeah.
and he's making that everyone else's problem.
Yeah.
He makes it Butterbur's problem.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, why didn't you just give me this letter? Which is fair,
Mm-hmm.
but also like, you've made plenty of mistakes too. Maybe you should be a little more gracious.
Yes.
And
Well, it's very Bilbo of him.
and moreover, yes, moreover, there's a little interaction that really highlights his naivety, which is Butterbur's in the middle of some thought about building up to the letter,
Mhm.
but Frodo doesn't have any patience for his bumbling build up.
Yeah.
And so he says, Barliman says, I knew your Baggins. I was given a description about you. I just remembered it. I have something to give you. He says, the description fit you well enough, if I may say so. And Frodo is just tired of listening to him. He says, oh, yeah, well, tell me about that.
Unwisely
Actually
interrupting.
yeah. And so Butterbur says, a stout little fellow with red cheeks. Which is just...
Thank you. That's a hobbit.
Yeah, so Frodo has just delayed things more and sort of embarrassed himself.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually things do work out, but like
Yeah.
Frodo is not helping things
He's
work
not.
out.
Yeah.
Not at all.
And it really is just, he made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
He's not willing to admit to it and move on.
Yeah.
He has to make it everyone else's problem.
Yeah. Which very human and also very bad.
Yeah.
Right. He is correct. Butterbur has made a mistake, right? We all say it's the thought that counts. That's a dumb phrase because it's also the actions that count,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so Butterbur thought about it and then forgot about it and then didn't do it.
Yeah.
And
which is a huge mistake.
that
for
is
sure.
a cause of some of Frodo's problems.
Mhm.
It's just not the only cause of Frodo's problems.
Or even
And
primarily.
yeah, it's really not that big of an issue in the grand scheme of things, but also it is something he can complain about, and so he grasps onto it to complain about it. I do find it nice. Butterbur realizes that Strider's in the room with them and is like, I don't know what to do with this guy. But Strider essentially says there's the shadow in the east. That's what we're fighting, and Barliman can't do much about it, but
Mhm.
every little bit helps.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
That's really nice.
And Strider, it sort of seems like Frodo-ish exasperation.
Mm-hmm.
It's just well-placed exasperation, I should
Yeah.
say. He's like, you can't trust these rangers. He's like, oh yeah? You think they should trust a fat innkeeper who can't
Yeah.
remember his own name?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of rough, but
Mm-hmm.
it is fair
Yeah.
given what just happened. And to his credit, Barliman takes it in stride.
You know,
He's like, yeah,
that's kind of true.
which isn't what Frodo does.
No.
Which Barliman is more mature than Frodo is.
Yeah.
Even though Frodo doesn't
Crazy.
really realize this until he's going to talk about Barliman a little bit to Gandalf.
Yeah.
And Gandalf kind of redirects a lot of Frodo's exasperation with him.
That's nice.
But yeah, I think it is to his credit. Barliman he just moves on and tries to help.
Yeah.
If Frodo was insulted, I think he would have fired back or something.
Yeah.
You know.
There's maturity there.
Mm-hmm.
And even though Barliman knows what he's up against,
Yes.
right?
I love this.
He's not even willing to voice the real threat of Mordor or the shadow in the east or whatever it is. But then, they're going to find out that he's here, but nobody's getting through my door without my say so, which is not going to happen at all. Like
but
the
he,
ring,
but he does his
they
very
will come back in.
best.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And we'll see later. You're gonna warm up to Barliman even more in the next chapter.
Pog.
He doubles down on every kindness.
Great guy, even if a little
He made
a
a big
little
mistake.
absent-minded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he helps as much as he can.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Pretty cool.
Strider scares Barliman with all this talk of Mordor,
Mm-hmm.
and he's terrified.
Yeah.
He knows more about Mordor than Frodo does.
Yeah.
He's terrified. And Strider says, "Are you still willing to help?" He says, "More than ever."
Yeah.
He's scared, but he also cares about these people that he's responsible for.
Yeah.
You're in my inn. As much as depends on me, you're going to be safe in my
Yeah.
inn.
Which is what Frodo did back in chapter 2, which we praised him for,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's, I know that this is horrible and I can't do anything about it, but I can do the little bit, which is to spare my people from it.
Yeah.
And so he goes off on his adventure.
Oh my goodness.
And it's so cool. And then Barliman does it to Frodo, and Frodo doesn't appreciate it.
Yeah. You know what? I didn't have any notes about this, but Barliman is like, as I'm talking about, he's like a beautiful foil to Frodo.
Yeah. Very interesting.
And it's interesting. Like, Frodo sees his flaws, and even though he appreciates his help, it's something that isn't really. This is a weird way to phrase it, but I already have thoughts. His misconception of Barliman isn't like, taken away.
Yeah.
Until chapters and chapters later, even though he starts to appreciate him, right away. Mm-hmm. He has a really bad first impression.
Yeah.
And it sort of blinds him to all the good. And he's thinking more about his flaws or Barliman's flaws than his own flaws.
Yeah. Yeah. Which it's very easy to think about how other people are flawed, especially when they have similar problems to what you have and are similar to you. It's much easier to call out where they are wrong and then blind yourself to where you are yourself wrong.
Yeah.
So crazy how that works.
Okay. I really, really like this chapter now.
Interesting.
I did like it before,
very, very cool.
But this is really cool.
Gandalf writes his letter. He says, "Leave by July," which didn't happen.
No.
He says, "Don't go by night," which didn't happen. And he says, "Don't use the ring," which also didn't happen.
Yeah.
Frodo, up until this point, generally pretty good about it, but both with Bombadil and in Bree. One on purpose, very on purpose. One slightly less on purpose, kind of accidental, but not entirely. These would all be useful advices if they are followed.
Yes.
And unfortunately, they are not always. Strider is confirmed by Gandalf. By the way, his real name is Aragorn, which I like a lot better. Just as a name.
Well, yeah. Strider's just like...
That guy can walk.
The Breelanders, like, he walks around on his long shanks.
Yeah. He is tall. He takes the big step. Yeah. That's it. That's his whole personality. So Aragorn is the confirmed name of him, and now is the point at which Aragorn, well, he's still called Strider, but now is the point at which Aragorn admits, okay, I was testing you, like trying to find out who you were, trying as much as you're testing me. I also need to know who I'm traveling with, and I need to know your competency level.
And it's just like a quick, almost throwaway line where he's like, I need to make sure you were the real Frodo, because the enemy has set traps for me before.
Yes.
Which I think that also goes a long way in explaining some of what I was exasperated with,
Well, it helps to explain him, but it also sets up a huge mystery, because, like, the enemy is after Aragorn just as much as the enemy is after Frodo.
Oh, yeah. That's good foreshadowing. Is it just because he's a ranger who opposes these people? Or is there something more?
Yeah. And I mean, if you were to, because I know where the story is going, right? You can read a lot into the Crownless becoming king from the poem that Gandalf cites. That Aragorn then quotes a little bit of. And, like, there is good foreshadowing coming back to this, knowing the plot later on, because, he is going to be super important against Sauron as well.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
is cool and nice to see set up here. There's also this line, you mentioned it to me last week sometime, it would take more than a few days or weeks or years of wandering in the wild to make you look like me, and you would die first.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting
line. It's very grim.
It is. It is very grim, although basically what it is it's more than just sleeping outside. Yeah. Right? There's a lot more that goes...
Because Strider says this in response to Pippin saying,
Yeah.
Strider's like, I have a rascally look, and Pippin's like, if we sleep in a couple ditches, we're gonna look like you before too long.
Mm-hmm.
And Strider says, no.
No. He's been through a lot more.
Yeah.
And so it is interesting because at the end of the series, when they come back, they are going to be the Striders for their people of the Hobbits. They're going to be well-traveled. They're going to be much more capable. They're going to be like the outsiders at that point. They're going to look scraggly to everybody else. Mm-hmm. But it's not because they slept in a couple ditches. It's because they went through everything they're about to go through.
Yeah, that's right.
And so there's a lot more to that, but also these lines will become more and more relevant later on as well. And so I think that that's a cool thing to look for. Sometimes competence looks ugly to other people, and sometimes ugliness is okay. Sometimes it's even good.
So Pippin warms up to Strider after the letter.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's more intuitive. Like, again, I'll stand by this. Pippin is one of the smartest people. Like, he's the highest potential.
Yeah.
But he's operating in like
almost low capacity,
almost negative numbers. Like he's lazy because he's smart.
Yeah.
But he does, to his credit, he intuits Frodo's trust. He's like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sam's a little slower on the uptake, and Strider just has to come out and say what Frodo had already realized and that you've already referenced. Frodo knows, okay, if this Strider was an enemy, he could have just taken the ring.
Yeah.
But Strider has to spell that out for Sam.
It is true.
Yeah.
He does have to spell it out for Sam. At the same time, that is the moment at which he does confirm who he is.
Yeah.
And so Frodo, while trusting the actions of Strider, did not actually verify, like make the verification that Gandalf told him to, which is his real name is Aragorn. Make sure that that's his real name. And Sam is the one who has to protect Frodo from himself and actually, like, how do you know that this person is who he says he is? Well, I could have killed you, but also my name's Aragorn.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the selling point.
And there's a great line here.
Mm-hmm.
Just my name and what I do, which I'm Aragorn, and I will protect you by my life or my death.
Yeah.
Which, that's awesome.
Yeah. I can save you, even saving you from yourselves.
Which is what
is exactly what he's doing.
Yes.
That is his whole point. So it's interesting. After this, right, there's the paragraph break there. So there's like a big emphasis on that line, on I am Aragorn, and this is my role. And so I do think Sam was right to question there. He didn't need to do it as efficiently as he did it.
I think it was
extraneous, but at least there's confirmation.
At least, okay, sure.
Yeah. And so there's this long silence, and then Frodo says, essentially, and this is the message version of the Fellowship of the Ring. But he has a fear of Strider, but it is a clean fear. Mm-hmm. Essentially, the enemy would try and have a good appearance, but I would be more terrified of him. And there's something like messed up about that. The enemy would seem fairer, like look better, and feel fouler, actually be worse. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. That's one of the things you learn from Psalm 19 in the Bible. So like, it's just interesting that even though you look at Aragorn and you wouldn't think much of him, much like, Jesus, there is a terror that he inspires, but it's not the bad kind of terror.
Yeah.
It is a terror at, wow, this guy is competent and he's on my side, or he could be on my side.
Yeah.
Which is very divine.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Mm-hmm. The Sauron would try and look good, but goodness itself, Aragorn is goodness. And that doesn't need to dress itself up. Yeah. Jesus talks a lot about how, having a good heart leads to good actions, even if you don't look great on the outside, whereas having good appearances doesn't mean anything, which is exactly what this is drawn from, I think.
Yeah. This is like a simple message, but it's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
Let's see.
All that is gold does not glitter.
Yeah. I love that poem.
Amen to that. It's pretty cool.
There's a couple... It's almost the end of the chapter with these things here.
Hey, we need to go quick. We're about at an hour.
Okay.
Yep. Or we can cut this. We can cut this in half. That's
Well,
a
we've
terrible
had
idea.
episodes that were an hour and 15.
Oh yeah. Oh, this is short comparatively.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens.
Oh. Well.
But yeah. Let me just blank on what I was going to say. That'll help.
That was
no.
the point.
It's it foreshadows here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Gandalf not being here is bad news.
Yes.
And this is like, there's been hints of that.
Yes.
But now competent people are really saying that. Like,
Yes.
Gildor was a little scared, but he's like, he'll probably catch up.
Yeah.
Strider's
Gildor
like,
was more confused than anything.
Yeah.
Like, that's not
but
normal.
when Strider heard from Gildor, we hear Gildor is like, Gildor couldn't, he had duties, he couldn't go and help the hobbits. But he told about everyone they met what happened, and that has helped.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
that's cool.
That's true. Okay. I forgive him for being an elf.
That's terrible.
A little bit.
But this foreshadows seeing Strider
Mm-hmm.
being so worried about Gandalf. He's like, I've never heard about Gandalf being late like this.
Yeah. And I've known this guy for a long time
Yeah.
as well. I'm older than I look.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have a history there, and this has never happened before.
Yeah.
Which is
so
bad
it's
news.
really ratcheting up the tension in that
Mhm.
regard.
Yeah.
There's so the end of the chapter is this contrast between Pippin and Merry. But before I
Yes.
get to that is there's this one line that's just like food for thought. I'm not
Mhm.
going to talk a lot about it.
Ooh.
But Strider says something like, "You're afraid of the Black Riders,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not afraid enough."
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Which is very similar to what Gildor says.
But actually, it's sort of the opposite.
Well, yeah. It's the same idea, but
Yeah. And
Totally
I think
different.
they're both right.
mm-hmm.
You know, I think there's room for them both to be right, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
But it makes sense given Strider's introduction to them.
Yeah.
He says, "You guys do not fear these guys enough."
Mm-hmm.
So there's a difference. Like, you don't want to, like, there is some truth to, like, if they knew what they were up against, maybe they wouldn't go on the road.
Yeah.
That's Gildor's perspective. It seems we can imply that's Gandalf's perspective,
Yeah.
but maybe
And-
not.
And they didn't go on the road, and it went very poorly for them. To be fair, they were afraid of the unknown. They didn't go on the road. They went through the forest. That
Mhm.
went badly. They
Yeah.
went through the barrows. That went badly.
Sure.
Yes, and so, yeah, there's a level at which they need to be taking this seriously.
Yeah. That's the point.
Which is what Aragorn's saying, and but they don't need to know an overabundance because that would terrify them
That's-
from taking the trip at all.
Yeah.
Which is more what Gildor's
That's
saying.
exactly the way to say it. Yeah.
Yes. Before we get to the Merry section, which is really just kind of like a note tacked on to the end, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Strider does have a broken sword.
Yes.
I feel like that's going to be relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
are correct.
That seems important. That would also apply back to the poem that
Yes.
happened. There's something in there, and he says, like, it's broken, but the time is near; it will be forged anew.
Yes.
And so it's like, why has he not gone and gotten this forged before?
Mhm.
Well, there is a time that is coming, and now is when Frodo has arrived. When
Mhm.
it's now time for Aragorn to go and get this.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. It's like it's a prophecy where he's been waiting on it.
Yeah.
For some
it's
reason.
exactly right. That.
But now the time has come, and now it's going to be him. It's his turn to do things. And now that will make the enemy much more aware of him and such, and we'll deal with the ramifications later. But there is something there. There's a broken sword.
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you have anything on Merry at the end here?
So, yeah. A bit of things.
Oh, a bit of things.
So one thing is, mostly this is like Frodo and Sam and Strider and Barleyman.
Yes.
Pippin has just been uncomfortable.
Yes.
He doesn't want to take the lead. He's happy to quip or whatever when other people have plans or to critique other people's plans.
Yeah.
But when things
doesn't
are
want the
hanging in
responsibility.
the balance, he's like,
Yeah.
not my problem.
Yeah.
That
is
I
way
want-
above my pay grade.
I want someone else to handle this, please. I'm scared. But once everything's resolved, one of the last things before Merry barges in, we read that Pippin yawns and he says, "I'm dead tired. I have to go to bed."
Yeah.
Or I'm going to just fall asleep. Which is, if anyone's going to talk about how tired they are and how sleepy they are, it's Pippin.
Of course.
He's just, it's just a really clear picture of his laziness. He has a good excuse here. It's been a long day.
Yeah.
But of course, it's Pippin who says
Of course.
this. And then he says something ridiculous, which is, "Where in the world's Mary? It's probably everything's totally fine. I wonder where he is. It'd be the last straw if I had to go out and look for that guy." Okay. And maybe being tired isn't lazy, but that ending line is very, very lazy and naive.
Oh, I don't know. I think that's kind of sweet. Because like I am dead tired. In spite of all the danger and worry, I must go to bed or sleep where I sit. Mm-hmm. But I would go out and look for him if he's outside.
Okay.
When I read it, I understood it in that way.
But sure.
Yeah.
It does imply he would do it. He's not a complete monster.
Yeah,
but the emphasis is on and sure, you don't want to go
that
out
would
in
be
the dark.
The tipping point. Like
I wouldn't want to go out and look for someone in the dark either if I were tired.
True.
But it shows they've just been talking about how much danger they're in. Yeah. And he's like, "Where's Mary?" And that doesn't ring any alarm bells for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's sort of what I was trying to draw attention to. Just lack of appreciation for their danger.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's okay because Mary just so happens to be there at that moment. Whoa! Which is, again,
he barges in.
Very coincidental, but whatever. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. If this was a D&D campaign, that's how it would work.
Yes,
because
it would. We don't have enough time.
Conversation's over. Okay, something has to happen. And there he comes.
Yeah, and you might see some such story beats and pacing tomorrow.
Yeah. Hey, that's how it works sometimes.
Anyway, in regard to this, I mentioned for last chapter, like Mary's connection to the writers.
Yes.
And there's another bit of foreshadowing here with that.
Interesting. How so?
Because Mary, he's just walking around. And he sees what he thinks is a black rider.
Yes.
He can't know for sure, but he thinks it is.
Yes.
And he says, "So I followed it."
Yeah.
And that dumbfound Strider. He's like, "You what?" He's never heard about someone following one of these evil shapes before.
Yeah. He looks at him with wonder.
He's like, You have a stout heart, but it was foolish. So it's all our hobbits are, naive and silly in different ways.
Yeah.
But this was a brave thing here. He's taking initiative. He's like, "Oh, what are our enemies doing?"
Yeah. And
there's not too much to make of this one way or another, except in regard to the story right now, it's like, okay, our enemies are right here, and that ratchets up the tension leading into the next chapter.
Yeah.
But for Merry long term, just like him being just so happening to be the Hobbit who's mentioned,
with the barrow and stuff like that.
In the barrow, like one of these where Lord of the Rings is hard to summarize. Where it has the vision
of being one of those soldiers who was executed by the Witch King's men.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
That one.
I was gonna
just
struggle.
As you do.
I was going to struggle with that. Yeah. So Merry's the Hobbit who has that horrible, twisted dream and vision, and he's also the Hobbit who pursues the riders. And he's also the Hobbit who begins to suffer from the Black Breath, which will be mentioned later on. And it's nearly something that kills him later on.
Interesting. All I have written in my notes is Mary saw the riders and got gassed. Like I don't.
It's horrible. Like it's one of these magical things that's not quantified, but they have this aura that just like drowns you and bleeds you away.
Yeah,
that's terrifying.
Yeah. Well, yes. Although it's not merely the aura; it's something coming up behind him. It's like it's being adjacent to one of the riders.
Yes.
Essentially, it's very odd to me. And you've mentioned this proactively, like for a couple chapters later for the Weathertop thing.
Yeah.
Okay. It's weird that they don't go to kill Mary here.
Yes.
But that seems consistent with them not immediately killing hobbits later as well.
Yeah.
And so that might be something to catalog and keep in mind.
And I think they're evil, but they're not like in Warhammer, there's the Khorne demons, who just delight in killing everybody and spilling blood. That's not who the Nazgul are.
No.
I think they're not really interested in just killing people for the sake of killing people.
Yeah.
Like, oh, here's a hobbit. Maybe we can do something with him.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not married to that idea.
Yeah.
That's a pun.
Ha, got him.
They're after the ring. This hobbit doesn't have the ring. Maybe they can do something, but like, okay, we don't have to have this hobbit.
Yeah.
But
which is interesting.
it does seem like maybe they should be a little more evil or proactive, but
Mm-hmm.
I can buy them not doing that.
It may well be that they're keeping him alive to ask him for information if they're aware.
I sort of think that's what they were going to do.
If they're aware that there's a group of 4, or if they're aware that, this is not the Hobbit, but he's one of the Shire Hobbits, and like there was a group. Because the information that gets passed on, presumably from Fernie, is that 3 of them, there are 3 of them. He doesn't know that Mary is there because Mary was outside of the inn. But there are a few different hobbits. Maybe that information has been passed on. Maybe they're interested in that. But yeah, I don't know. They're not as violent. They're not as straight up murdery as I would think they would be, which might help explain next chapter how they're not quite as straight up murdery. Yeah. Even though next chapter they do kind of come in and try to straight up murder a lot of hobbits. Yes. But we'll see that later.
So they get Mary's warning that he only is able to give by the skin of his teeth. Yep. They forsake the Hobbit room. Mm-hmm. Leave disguises there and go up to Strider's room. And
in the Fellowship of the Ring, in the Fellowship of the Ring PS2 and Xbox game, you get to play Strider, I believe, as he runs around in the streets of Bree and collects like a melon and some logs and some hay.
What?
Because that is the disguise that Nob puts in the beds. Oh. Yeah. So you collect the disguises and then put them in the bed.
That's hilarious.
Anyway, they made a whole quest out of that.
Games are funny.
Games are funny. I need to play that game. I've only read the Prima's official strategy guide.
There's a sweet moment book, though, here at the end of the chapter where Mary is reflecting on all the information that he missed in this chapter he wasn't in. Yeah. And it's just a sweet moment where Mary's like, he just laughs about the thing that really has put them in danger, which is Frodo jumping off the table, getting the ring on his finger. Yeah. He says, the people of Bree will be discussing it for 100 years. And Strider, the guy who was like, why were you so stupid, Frodo, with drawing attention to yourself? Frodo just says, I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that's a serious comment. But
well, I think so. I think it is, actually.
No. How so? You think it's good for them to draw attention to themselves for 100 years?
No, but it's done, and he hopes people get a fun story.
I guess that's fair. Yeah.
Strider protects people because he appreciates people being able to be innocent. Mm-hmm. And so he hopes it for Bree, and his comment to Mary that way.
I hope that Bree's around for 100 years and is not consumed by the darkness.
Also shows he has that same perspective for the hobbits, since he gives that comment to Mary's comment.
Fair enough.
I'm phrasing things strangely today, but
that's okay.
Hopefully you understand.
It has to happen sometimes. All right. Well, that should do it for chapters 9 and 10. I think next time we do 11, and then it's probably 11 and 12 separately.
Probably.
And those will release back to back, and then that's halfway through the book.
Yes.
So that's
making good time.
Great time even. Maybe we won't be in these things for years, unless we read all of the Silmarillion and Unfinished Tales and everything else too. Yeah. But we shall see. Well, thanks for listening. Hopefully that's interesting to you and makes you think about a few different things. And read chapter 11. Next time we'll talk about a knife in the dark. That seems very violent.